Good evening. This is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha, and my name is Brian. I am your controller tonight for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. This net is available on the club's VHF repeater on Echo Link between 20:30 hours locally and approximately 21:45 hours in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. It is also streamed live on YouTube, where archives of previous nets can be found. Stand by, please. To participate in the net on the VE3MIS repeater, tune 145.430 megahertz with a negative 600 kilohertz offset and a 103.5 hertz tone. To participate on Echolink, connect to the TechLink conference, node number 9229. To listen live on YouTube and comment, search YouTube for VE3MIS. Stand by, please. If you would like to find out more about the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club, visit our website at www.ve3mis.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra Charlie Alpha. Our email address is ve3mis@rac.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra at Romeo Alpha Charlie Charlie Alpha. Stand by, please. The purpose of this net is to pass news and views along to members and visitors of the club. It also provides experience to volunteer operators in net and emergency operating procedures. All check-ins are welcome, and we especially invite non-members to join in. The Mississauga Amateur Radio Club meets virtually via Zoom conferencing software on the second and fourth Thursday of each month. Our meetings emphasize comradeship and learning and are open to guests and visitors. See our website to learn how to join virtual meetings. Non-members who wish to attend should email ve3mis@rac.ca to obtain instructions for virtual admissions. Stand by, please. Normally, the virtual club meetings are held at the same time as the in-person meetings, and the in-person meetings have been suspended due to COVID-19. So we're actually doing both. The Zoom meeting was actually the in-person meeting streamed, but the in-person meetings have been suspended for a little while until we're clear of the latest surge in cases of COVID. Normally, the in-person meetings are held at the St. Thomas and Becket Church Hall, which is 3535 South Common Court in Mississauga, near the intersection of Erin Mills Parkway and South Common Court. Stand by, please. Before we get to check-ins and the like, we should just mention a few minor announcements here. I've already mentioned the big one, that the in-person meetings are suspended, but the advanced course also begins Monday, January 17th for those who are interested in getting their advanced qualifications, and that also will be held via Zoom conferencing software. And if you're interested in that, you should take a look at the club website. Stand by, please. Just a reminder about a couple of nets that are often heard on the repeater here in Mississauga, VE3MIS. The Cross Canada IRLP net is usually heard every Wednesday between 11 and noon Eastern Standard Time on the club repeater. It has to be dialed in, and the number is IRLP 9013. On Friday night, the TechNet can be heard, often heard, on the VHF repeater, and that's between 8 and 10 p.m. local time via Echolink conference number 9229. So if you tune into the VHF repeater, the VE3MIS, and you don't hear anything, it could be that the repeater is not connected, and all you have to do is type in #9229. Stand by, please. Net tonight will be conducted in 2 rounds, a check-in round and a 7-3 round. During the check-in round, check-ins will be called in 2 broad groups of traffic, short-time check-ins and general check-ins. Emergency check-ins will be taken at any time. Sometimes mobile RF and Echolink check-ins may be called by themselves to reduce the risk of doubling. Please listen carefully and check in with a group that best matches your circumstances. Finally, avoid transmitting more than 1 or 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, without keying up to prevent system timeouts. Stand by, please. Again, your controller for tonight's net is me, Brian. My call sign is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha. When checking in, please announce your call sign using phonetics, followed by your first name. So we'll start off with some short time check-ins, and we'll call for those for a short time. Means that you're only here for the first round. Don't think you won't be able to stay perhaps for the whole net. If you're in that category, then we'll be calling for those check-ins right now, and we'll do RF followed by Echolink. So if you're out there on short time on RF, come now, please.
Alpha 3 Kilo Delta Yankee.
Victor Echo 3 Whiskey Yankee Delta. Victor Echo 3 Whiskey Yankee Delta. Peter.
Okay, Net Control acknowledges 2 RF check-ins there. Peter, VE3WID, and Kevin, VA3KDY. And before we get to those, I'm just going to call for Echolink short time first, and we'll get a big list here and work our way through it. So if you're out there on short time on Echolink, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name.
Net Control, please copy Victor Kilo 6, Bravo, Quebec, Quebec. Reg here in Western Australia. Good morning.
Bravo with His Majesty Reg, VK for HJ2.
Uniform. Bob, North Central Texas. Good morning. Happy New Year.
November 4, Romeo, November Whiskey, Harold in Southwest Florida. Good evening.
Okay, Net Control acknowledges, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 check-ins there on short time, and from most recent to least recent, that is November 4, Romeo, November Whiskey, Harold in Florida, KF5 HTU, Bob in Texas, BK3 HTQ, John in Australia, BK6 BQQ, and that's Reg in Australia. Let's see if there's anyone else out there on Echolink short time. Echolink short time only. Come now, please. Okay, nothing heard, we'll go to the top of the list. And I see Kevin up there at the top. You were the first check-in I heard, Kevin. Hope all is well with you. And I hope you had a good holiday as well. Maybe get some rest. We'll pass it over to you. Net Control to Victor Alpha 3, Kilo Delta Yankee.
VA3KDY. Brian, thanks. Holiday was nice and quiet, just the way it should have been. And I just hope everybody gets everything that they need in 2022. Brian, thanks for taking me in there, and I'll send it back because it is short time, and say 7-3 VA3KDY back to VA3AZ8.
VA3KDY, this is VA3AZA. Well, Kevin, good to hear you. And Yeah, it looks like winter finally caught up with us too. So I had a good holiday and even looked a little bit wintry, Christmassy. Kind of nice. Yeah, quiet's good too. No problem with quiet. Let's see. I think you're in there for a short time. You're not gonna be around for a second, go, are you, Kevin? If you are, great. I'll just pass it back to you for a second.
Negative. I signed up for the short time, Brian. I'm out of here now. 7-3.
Net control returning. Okay, yeah, that's fine, Kevin. Good to hear from you. Maybe we'll hear from you next week too. Let's go down to Peter. Peter in Brampton. And how are you this evening, Peter? Had some interesting experiments last week. Maybe we'll do that again tomorrow. That WiresX net is on tomorrow night too. Maybe we'll hook everything up again and people can join if they want. VA3AZA over to VE3WYD.
VA3AZA, this is VE3WYD. Yeah, that was quite interesting the other evening with the fusion thing we had going there. And thank you for that. I thank you for doing the net this evening. And all is good here. I had my third shot today. And I called in short time. Let me drop. I called in short time because, I don't know, something's wrong with my antenna wire. I got to bend it up to make it work. So I'm going to hang on as long as I can and hopefully be around for the second round. This is VE3 to VA3AZA.
VE3WYD, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Peter. Well, we'll keep you. We'll try you on the second go. And if you're there, great. If not, that's okay too. But good to hear from you. And I might just hook that thing up again tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see if there's any interest in that. I should probably put it on the news group too. Okay, that brings me down to VK6BQQ, Reg in Australia. Reg, I hope all is well with you. I was listening to the net the other night and didn't get a chance to get in there. There was a lot of New Year's greetings and such, and I couldn't break through. But anyway, I hope you had a good New Year. VA3AZA over to VK6BQQ.
VA3AZA and the group, VK6BQQ returning. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, it was kind of a busy New Year's event, but we brought it in. Everything's been pretty good around here in WA particularly. And today we got a half a dozen of the amateurs coming over to the QTH for coffee and a bit of a get-together on our project for March, the 80 years of the Lancaster. So we've got a lot on our plate here this morning, but took time out to check in and say good day. Great to have you aboard, sir. And this weekend we'll be doing our Friday night TechNet, the Flying Pig Net. We'll have more event taking place in UK. So we got the RAAF involved, we got the RCAF, the RAF involved, and hopefully we'll have the RCAF involved with our event in March. All good at this end. Thanks for having me on board. Back to net. VK6BQQ, Reg here in Western Australia.
VK6BQQ, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Reg, yeah, you sound like you're pretty busy there, and I know there are celebrations coming up with respect to the aircraft, and it sounds pretty neat. So we'll look forward maybe to hearing about any new developments on the Friday night TechNet, which is here at our time, of course, is 8 o'clock in Mississauga. 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, but of course for you it's in the morning in Australia. But anyway, we'll look forward to hearing more about it. Okay, that brings me down to VK3HJQ, John. John's also in Australia. Hope all is well with you, John. I'll pass it over to you. Net control to VK3HJQ.
Brian, good afternoon from down under, 12:45 p.m., 5th of Jan. Get out of Australia. Oh boy, Western Australia's got cases now. So Western Australia's got 2 cases. Victoria, 17,636. New South Wales, where Robert lives, 35,054. Far out. What a mess over here, Brian. The Omicron's just running rampant. And the stupidest thing I heard, which I've been reporting on all the nets, that if you're a doctor, a nurse, an AMBO, a paramedic, and you got COVID, go to work. Because they haven't got enough workers. I mean, how dumb's that? Going to go to the hospital to get better, and of course the nurse and the doctor's going to have COVID there and give it to you. Well, I suppose you get something for nothing. Anyway, apart from that, raining over here, 21 degrees, and a bit of a yucky day, but at least the weather's dropped down from the 36, 38 we've been having. Hope everybody had a nice Christian New Year. Back to Nat, back out to HJQ. Thanks, Brian.
VK3 HJQ, VA3 today, net control returning. Okay, John, yeah, interesting. Well, unfortunately, there's a big surge here as well. It's all over the world, and yeah, I think everyone's facing the same kind of problem with COVID, and that's a shortage of healthcare workers. I know that's got a little bit of more than a little bit of a challenge here. So we have a supply, but they're not being allowed to work in the facilities. So usually internationally trained workers, but for some reason they're not being called up. Anyway, so that of course has all the complications, but I guess we'll manage to muddle through it as we have been for. I think people have been saying that for almost 2 years now, but I just keep crossing my fingers that one of these weeks it will be will be the truth. It won't just be a wish. Anyway, pass it back to you, John. Anything else you want to add? VA3A today over to VK3 HJQ.
Well, Ed, Brian, thanks for the net as usual. We always love connecting up and listening in. Back to net control. Oh, yeah, a quick comment. We had our ARIS contact last night, pretty late. It was about 10:30 or 10:27 p.m. And had a contact with some scouts in Melbourne. They had a jamboree down there, and they had a live video stream so that we could see the scouts. So pretty cool. And we got about, I think we had about 13 people check in at the end of it, which wasn't not our world's record. We usually have 30 or 40, but I suppose it was a bit late in the evening over here for people to be around. But good contact with the ISS last night. Back to you, Brian.
VK3 HJQ, VA3A today. Sounds good there, John. Actually, now you motivated me. I know I'm really desperate to try the APRS through satellites. You reminded me. So all the things you want to get done. Good to go to a little bit of time there off at Christmas. I had a great list of things I wanted to try. I didn't quite get to that one, but and good for you on that contact. Okay, let's see. That brings me down to Bob. Bob in Texas, KF5HTU. And Bob, I hope all is well with you. Good to hear you. Always a pleasure to talk with you. And I'll pass it over to you. VA3A today, over to KF5HTU.
VA3A today, KF5HTU. Well, good to talk. Excuse me. Good to talk to you. I got all tangled up with the family stuff last week on a Tuesday night. And wasn't able to get in here. Wanted to be sure I got in here at least for a little while this evening to tell everybody, say hi to everybody, and wish them a happy New Year. Hope they had a good holiday, good Christmas, and good start for the New Year. Hopefully COVID doesn't get too out of hand. But it looks like it started that way. We'll just hope for the best. Nothing else other than I'm doing good, and I just wanted to check in and say hi to you and Brian and all of the other folks that. I hear you guys I've been hearing for a long time, but some of the newer folks, they don't know who I am from Adam, just some guy in North Texas. But I do enjoy checking into your net, Mr. Saugernet, every Tuesday night. Take care, my friend, and Happy New Year to all. VA3AZA, KF5H2. Back to you, sir, and back to net.
KF5HTU, this is VA3AZA returning. Okay, Bob, always a pleasure to hear from you too. And yeah, of course, I remember you doing the net, the tech net. I think I talked to you many times on the tech net. I remember that's lots of fun too on Friday night. So good to hear from you, and look forward to hearing from you next week too, I hope. And that brings me down to N4RNW, and that's Harold. Harold, I think, is in Florida. Let's see, Harold, if you're there, come on in. Net control to N4RNW.
Well, thank you, Brian. N4RNW here in Fort Myers, Florida. Happy New Year to all. We just spent 2 or 3 weeks up with family in between Tennessee and Indiana, and we flew back on New Year's Eve from Tennessee, and good thing because a winter storm really hit that area. There are still pockets that are without power, so that would have been a mess. So we're happy to be back here in sunny Southwest Florida, and Happy New Year to all, and back to you, Brian. Thanks. N4RNW.
N4RNW, VE3MIS Net control returning. Okay, Harold. Yeah, well, it's good you survived that winter storm. I actually heard about that. It was kind of intense there for a little bit in that part of the state. So you survived it and got back home, so you're okay. And we hope you had a good New Year. Sounds like you did as well. And glad to hear you here on the net. We're here every Tuesday between 8 and 10 local time, Mississauga. Certainly, you're welcome to join. Anyone's welcome to join. As long as they can reach us via Echo Link, I guess, or YouTube or RF, we'll take you. I'm just going to take a quick standby here. Net control standby. Okay, VE3MIS today is back. Just a couple of acknowledgments here I'd like to make before we go on to the general check-in phase. And I want to thank Mark, who is handling the YouTube streaming. He always does this so nicely for us. And it always runs so smoothly. I just want to thank him for all of his efforts. He's been doing it every net for the last, I don't know how long now, but I really appreciate the time that he's put into that. And I think Jim, VE3JW, has said that we do have someone joining us, Timothy, who does not have access to a microphone. I can see that in the notes. He's a silent visitor tonight. Hello to Timothy. And Ben as well. Ben is joining us on YouTube, and he is in Philadelphia. So hello to Ben there, who's following along and kind of interested in how ham radio works, and maybe even pursuing his license at some point. So, quick standby here. Net control is going to stand by for a second. VE3MIS today returning. Okay, that brings us to the general check-ins for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net, and we'll go through the same little protocol here. We'll do RF check-ins first, and then we'll do Echo Link after that. So if you're out there on RF only, and you'd like to check in to the general check-in phase, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. RF only, general check-ins.
Victor Alpha 3 Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark in Mississauga.
Okay, I guess I got one check in there for RF, and that was VE3HES, Mark, in Mississauga. And I guess we'll try now for some Echo Link check-ins. These are general check-ins. The Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net on Echo Link. Come now, please.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary.
Okay, I got one more check in there for Echo Link, and we'll come back. We'll give it another try a little bit later as well. Let's go to Mark, VA3HES. Mark, I was thinking about you today because I was listening to Peter Frampton, and I'd seen an interview a day ago with Peter Frampton as well, And in the interview, we were talking about all of the effects that he used during his concerts, and he showed this one device he had, which was made by Heil Sound. And I didn't realize Heil Sound was so into producing that kind of equipment. I always thought of them as making radio headphones, but anyway, I don't know if you ever had that experience of having to set up all of those effects for guitarists. We'll pass it over to you. VA3AZA, over to VA3HES.
VA3HES returning. I apologize. My daughter has decided to vacuum the second I go to key up, so that's my central vacuum running in the background. Yes, I've actually had to help a number of guitar players set up some effects, and the Heil Talkbox, Bob invented that. There's a little bit of contention over who came up with the concept first, but Bob Heil did come up with the first commercial unit, and Peter Frampton was sort of his first client. And it's actually a simple little device. It's just a high-frequency compression horn, not unlike what you would find in like a big paging horn, in a box with a long tube that will go into your mouth. They are tricky devices, and I've heard stories of sound pressure levels being so high that guitar players have cracked a tooth. Thanks for hosting the net again, Brian, and thank you to all those watching on YouTube. And a good morning and good evening to all listening, and a Happy New Year before I forget. That's all for now, Brian. Back to you.
Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra. This is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha, Net Control returning. Okay, Mark, and thank you for handling all of our YouTube streaming. It's a nice feature of the net. People can kind of join us from everywhere as long as you get access to YouTube. You can hear live, and you can also see previous nets. And there's all sorts of stuff up there too. I think there's club presentations up there too on the YouTube page. Okay, let's go down to VA3GDZ, and that is Gary. Gary, I hope all is well with you. I know you have a new radio. Maybe you can tell us about that. Net control over to VA3GDZ.
Good evening there, Brian, and hi to all on the net. Yeah, I was able to use it. Actually, been out of town for a while, just got back in today. We went up north to see what the conditions are like up there for some skiing and skating and stuff, and I'm sure the guys down in Australia and Texas and Florida don't care to hear about it, but the ice huts were starting to come out. Near Toronto, pretty mild. It was kind of damp, but we got down to minus 21 overnight up in cottage country, and I went out on the lake, chopped a hole to see if it was safe for me to walk on the lake and chop a hole, and it was about 4 to 6 inches thick. The ice was quite good. Some of these guys with the ice huts, my goodness, they know how to live. Not only do they, they have little cook stoves and little cots and stools and stuff, and a heater if they need it, and lights, a little lantern. But of course, your beer is automatically chilled because it's an ice hut. You just have to leave it outside the door. But that's just starting. Not too much snow yet, but the cold weather has definitely arrived. And yes, I did get to try the new radio, and oh boy, I got some confusing things because there's so many menu items. But I made some local contacts, and if you thought the repeaters weren't well used in Toronto, they're not that well used up north either. I think that's all I'll say for now, and I'll try to stick around for the second round. Back to you, Brian. This is your Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary, in West End of Toronto.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Gary, very, very interesting. Yeah, okay, so minus 21 cottage country, that's pretty cold, actually. It was, I don't know on the weekend what it was. I remember being out with my son, I think, on Sunday night, and we had to go for something or other. And, I know we were just testing the car. We've been putting some air in the tires or something or other. And it was about minus 10 or minus 11. And, I know we were changing the windshield wiper blades. So it was really chilly. It's hard to change windshield wiper blades when your fingers are frozen. but we did. But yeah, so it was cool here. I imagine it was quite cool there. And that, yeah, the ice business, it's quite an industry and quite an undertaking out on the lakes with the ice huts. And I always think of the story of these guys who did that in Lake Erie one year, and then the ice floe broke off, and they'd be rescued by the Coast Guard. It was just a little late in the season. Anyway, sounds good, and good with the radio. And it's always a bit of a puzzle to sort them out, I guess, to dig through the menus. But I'm just going to take a quick break here, and I control a break and come back. Oh, net control is returning. Okay, Gary, so we'll keep you on the list. We'll give you a try in second go, and thanks for joining us on the first round as well. Well, that brings me to the end of my list. Let's see if there's anyone else out there on RF. If you're out there on RF and you'd like to join us here on the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net, RF, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically followed by your first name. RF only, please.
Victor Echo 3, Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot, name is Barry.
Net Control acknowledges VE3WBF, and Barry, hope all is well with you. I guess you're back to school. Everyone is, so I don't know if I guess you're doing what everyone else is doing. We're online. But I hope you had a good Christmas and a good New Year. We'll pass it over to you, Net Control, to VE3WBF.
Net Control, this is VE3WBF. Yes, I had a very quiet Christmas and New Year's. A little bit of bubbly on the New Year's, and then went to bed, listening to the fireworks. School starts on January the 10th for me, no, the 11th for me, and it's going to be, lectures are going to be virtual, and the labs 2 weeks after will be in-person break. So I've been spending the Christmas off and a little bit time now preparing videos to do this online lab that we've got ourselves stuck into because of COVID. And I'm using a very neat video editing system called ScreenFlow, and it's a learning curve, but it's pretty nice, pretty slick application. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3 Net Control returning. Okay, Barry. Yeah, okay. I forgot post-secondary is a little bit later than the secondary, so you're a couple more days there. I'm curious though. Are you for your lab, which needless to say would be rather challenging online, and probably, I guess for the people who signed up for it, maybe they're a little disappointed about what can you do, But I'm just curious. So you video your demonstration first and then edit it? I'm just curious about how you do that. Over to you.
Well, I do. I videotape the demonstration, and this is only going to happen for the first 2 weeks until we get back into the end of January, and then everybody's going to be in the lab, physically in the lab. And it's a course that requires hands-on work. Otherwise, it's not a course. But yeah, I've been videotaping. I'm using my iPad and my Mac, and between the two of them, we sort of seem to work it out. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3 Net Control returning. Oh, okay, sounds very good, very good. I know I did some experimenting with screen videos. I had an editor named Camtasia here, and I found there were certain things I needed to demonstrate through video. Actually, it had more to do with using the learning system than the actual content of the course, but that was my experience with it. I found it's amazing how much work goes into making 30 seconds of video, like how much effort and planning goes into it, and how many takes it can take to get exactly what you want. But it's kind of fun. Okay, Barry, we'll keep you on the list for second go, I think, and we'll look for any other check-ins on Echolink. for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter Tuesday night net. If you're out there on Echo Link and you'd like to join us, come out please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Okay, and nothing heard on Echo Link, and I guess we're at the end of the first round here. And I had a number of people who were short time only, and I think, let's see. Okay, I think Peter says we might try. I might give him a try, and think we might give Reg a try too, to see if he's there. So, Peter, VE3WID, I know you're short time, but if you're there and you want to come in for the second round, come now, please. Over to you. Okay, nothing heard from Peter. And let's try VK6BQQ Reg. Reg, I think you might be there. I don't know if you're at the computer, but we'll give you a chance to come in here for the 7-3 round. Net control to VK6BQQ.
Amateur Radio Repeater VE3MIS.
Okay, nothing heard. And well, I think those were the call signs that I had indicated they might be here. Let's go down just to the generals here and see if we can. We'll call on Mark again, and then we'll do a general call after these three. Net control to VA3HES. Come on in for a second round.
VA3AZA, VA3HES returning. Well, thank you, Brian. I just got a message here from Peter on the YouTube chat that the connector has come off the end of his antenna line in the shack, so that's why he's disappeared. So he's listening on YouTube for now. One of the two other little things I wanted to mention, this month we have two contests coming up. The first one, the January VHF ARRL contest, and that's Saturday the 16th through Sunday the 17th, 50 megahertz and up, all the way to daylight. So the club station will be very active on 6 meters, 2 meter, 70 centimeter, 1.25 meter, and maybe even a little 10 gig if VA3ELE is going to bring the dish over. So even if you've got an FM radio at home, hop on the simplex frequencies and make some QSOs. The other thing coming up at the end of January is the Winter Field Day, which I'm going to give a shot this year, even though I really don't like the cold. I figure I'm going to give it a shot. It's the 29th and 30th, so I believe that's the last weekend in January. So I'll let you know how that goes on the following Tuesday night. That's all for now, Brian. I'll send it back to you.
VA3HES, VA3A today. Okay, Mark, thanks very much for bringing those contests to our attention. It's always good to get the information from Peter, and thank you very much for bringing that to the attention of everyone on the net tonight. That's great. And it's too bad his antenna's down. That's okay. I'll probably get fixed. Or his connector, I think he said, was broken. Okay, well let's try Gary again, and I think he's still there. VA3GDZ, VA3A today, and we'll pass it over to you, Gary, if you want to add anything in for the 7-3 round. Over to you.
Thanks there, Brian. I was born ready. Oh boy. A couple things. Just wanted to comment on John's there. The number of cases in Australia, it's going astronomical. It's going faster than almost any other country right now. All I can say is countries that have the following characteristics are the only ones that seem able to control it. A high vaccination rate, and I'm talking preferably 3 vaccinations. 2 will keep you out of the hospital, but preferably 3. Everybody wearing masks all the time, indoors and out, and some degree of limitation. If you have just 1 of those or 2 of those, it's not going to help. Just high vaccinations doesn't seem to be enough for Omicron. With some luck in keeping the hospital cases down, that's what we're trying to do by our restrictions here. Other than that, just getting back to the radio, the aspects in the handheld that have me a little bit confused are CDCSS tones versus DCS tones, digital code squelch. I don't know if any repeaters use digital code squelch because it seems to be an option. Maybe you know that, Brian, or someone else can comment at the end. And other than that, do you need to set a receive CDCSS? I know you need to set a transmit one to get the repeater to recognize you, but there's also an option here to put in a receive tone. So I don't know if any of the repeaters, ham repeaters, normally send out a tone so it would break the squelch on your radio. Those are the two issues I'm having. Thanks for running the net. We'll chat more later, I'm sure. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary, West End of Toronto.
VA3 GT set, VA3 today, net control returning. Okay, Gary, so we got your questions there. Maybe someone will give you an answer here on the distinction between CTCSS and DCS. I guess DCS is digital, but there might be more to say about it than that. I always know whenever I encounter anything about DCS in the manuals, there's always a note about coded version, and I guess the DCS, the digital signal, sometimes can be misinterpreted by the decoders. But anyway, maybe someone can tell us more about that. And whether the CTCSS is always both ways in and out of the repeater. I guess on most repeaters it is, but in some radios, I guess you can program them differently. I don't know about all of them, but usually I know on my radios often when you set tone, that means in and out. There's a tone in and out, but you can be more selective. I think you can have just one and not the other, and maybe even different tones each way, but maybe someone can add something that I see John's got, VK3, HJQ's got a few comments in there too. But anyway, we'll go down to Barry, and then maybe we'll open it up. I think I'm going to have another check in there, VK2DY after Barry. But Barry, if you're there, come on in for the 7-3 net control to VE3WBF.
Net control, this is VE3WBF. I'm not sure if I wished everybody on the net Happy New Year, and hope like hell this COVID nonsense stops pretty quickly. And I missed the date on the first VHF contest, and if somebody could remind me of that, that would be great. Thanks very much. This is VE3WBF, back to net. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3As today. You meant the which one? The first VHF contest. Which one was? Do you remember which one that was, Barry? Just over to you.
It was the first one that was mentioned. I missed the date.
Oh, Roger. I'm going to ask Mark. Maybe he's still there. Mark, VA3HES. Do you remember the date of the first VHF contest that you mentioned? Over to you.
VA3AZA, VA3HES returning. Yes, the VHF contest this month is January 16th and 17th, so it starts. My ex-wife was cracking jokes about me not allowed to play, but yeah, it's the Saturday and Sunday, 16th and 17th. So not this coming weekend, the weekend after. Back to you, Brian.
VA3HES, VA3HES net controller training. Okay, thanks very much for the information again, Mark. So, Barry, that was January 16 to 17. That's not this weekend, but the next. I'll pass it back to Barry if he wants to add anything else. Net control to VE3WBF.
This is VE3WBF. Thanks very much for the info. Back to net. Over.
VE3WBF, net control returning. Okay, Barry, glad you could join us tonight, and glad we brought some events there to your attention. I think, and I can see actually to Gary's questions, I see some answers too. Maybe John's going to get to us after Robert. VK2DY, Robert, I think you wanted to do a check-in here. I saw your comments there in the list, so we'll pass it over to you. Net control to VK2DY.
Good afternoon. This is Robert, VK2DY in Kellyville Ridge, New South Wales, but all part of the urban sprawl that is Sydney. 24 degrees and raining, and probably will rain on and off for the next 10 days or so. La Nina is with us and will stay with us. Yeah, I wrote checkbox in the check-in in the comment section there. I spelled it checks, like the old bank checks. I haven't seen those in about 20 years, but I remember you used to have bank checks, so it's spelled that way. Anyway, other than that, COVID, yeah, Victoria and New South Wales have a population of about 7.5 million. So that puts us a little smaller than Quebec in population terms. So that may be an easier way to analyze what 30,000 and 17,000 cases are. I'm not sure what you guys are getting up in Canada, but that would be the closest I can find an equivalent population to these two states. Anyway, other than that, I got my COVID booster. I was delaying on it, and all of a sudden these cases started hitting the tens of thousands. I said, "Oh, I better do this." So on New Year's Eve, I went out and got my Moderna shot. So I should be just about, I think they say 7 days for it to really take effect. So getting close now. Anyway, I decided Moderna instead of Pfizer this time around. Other than that, not a whole lot else to share. The fireworks went off here very well. They reduced the crowds considerably. I think they had maybe a couple 100,000 for the fireworks. They certainly tried to get everybody to watch them on TV, and I think that was a wise decision. I enjoyed them. I watched them on TV, and I enjoyed them. Much better view than you get trying to sit there on Circular Quay or somewhere. And that's about it. I guess I'll just wish everybody a Happy New Year, and thank you so much. Oh, yeah, and thank you so much for taking my check-in. VK2DY, back to net.
VK2DY, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Robert. Yeah, those 30,000, I think you said, between the two, between New South Wales and the other region there. So, yeah, that's a fair number. I was just trying to look up, as you mentioned that, what the case count was here in Ontario. I can't sort of. All I found was the total. I think it says up 7,000. I guess that's. I don't know whether that's the last day or last week. I'm not sure, but the total number of cases was 784,000. I guess that's going all the way back to the beginning. But anyway, yeah. So the numbers are not favorable right now. So I suppose they'll go down with a little bit of effort, a little bit of luck. But yeah, it sounds like you've got quite a bit of growth there with the case count. Anyway, Robert, thanks very much for joining us. And, gee, I guess I'm going to call on VK3 HCAQ. John, maybe John wants to tell us all about the difference between DCS and CTCSS signals. And maybe you can correct me if I was wrong about having different CTCSS in and out of a repeater. Anyway, John, did you have anything you wanted to add about that? And I control the VK3 HCAQ.
Transmitter lock, just making up some stir fry for lunch for HJQ. Well, yeah, most repeaters only have it on receive because obviously the person who wants to access it puts it on their transmitter. Not much point the repeater transmitting it because they don't care where they transmit to, so normally it's on the receiver on the repeater. And I'll put some gunk in the text box there that I found on the net about it. DCS, I don't think we use it at all. I mean, a lot of the new radios come with it. Digital coded systems, which you can use a word. I mean, it's basically data, isn't it? So you can have multiple people on the same channel. It's good if you were running a business, I suppose, and that's obviously what the idea of CSS was in the original days. So you could have multiple people on the same frequency using the same channel. What else are we going to comment on? I don't know. I think that was about it. Yeah, so I worked out the cases. If Robert's saying we're New South Wales and Victoria is about the same size as where you guys are, we've got nearly 52,690 total with New South and Victoria. So that's a lot of cases. I mean, they're showing the graphs on the news here every single day, and they're just they're running a room on the graph that makes the graph bigger because the cases are still off the end of it. But you've got 14,500 cases, yeah, okie dokie. Yeah, it's just going crazy. I don't know how they're going to stop it. They're not contact tracing anymore because there's just too many. 90% of Australia is now vaccinated. They're starting 5 to 11-year-olds as of Monday, so the kids are going to get it. Younger kids, they don't know yet what they're going to do with them because it hasn't been really tested on anybody under 5. They've got to wait for all that data to come in. So the problem is when school goes back, it's going to be the next issue. Anyway, we'll just have to hope and see what happens, Brian. Thanks for the net again for Catch Rate JQ.
VK3HJQ, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, John, yeah, well, thanks for the clarification on those, and CTCSS and DCS. Yeah, interesting. So we've got the younger age group beginning the vaccination protocol. So yeah, well, it's quite a surge in cases. Okay, well that brings me down to the end of my list, and I'm just going to call out for anyone else who might like to join us this evening on the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net. If you're out there and you'd like to hop in towards the end here, I guess we're almost at the end of the second round. Come now, please, with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. We'll take RF or ECHO link, any mode you choose. If you're out there and you want to join us, come now, please.
Victor Echo 3, X-Ray Bravo Hotel, Brian.
On net control acknowledges VE3XBH. Brian, hope all is well with you. I actually on Friday I heard you trying that repeater on the CN tower. I could hear you, and I think you were getting through. I wasn't able to get through, but you sounded great. So anyway, hope all is well. Net control to VE3XBH.
VA3AZA, VE3XBH. Good evening, Brian, and hello to everybody on net. Happy New Year to everybody. I've been trying to get in much of the night and figured, geez, I was just having bad luck and doubling with everybody, but then I realized I was in the wrong band. So one of these days I'm going to have to figure out how to work all this stuff. But other than that, not much going on. And yeah, we were trying out that repeater. It's the A3 RCI, and it's on the CN tower, and it's up and running. I don't have the frequency in front of me at the moment. But yeah, we were playing with it on Friday, and it seems to be working out well. It was connected to the TechLink net on Friday, so there we go. Other than that, not much going on here, Brian. Sorry for the late check-in. I'll send it back to you. I don't really have much else, so I'll say Happy New Year and 7-3 to everybody, and back to you, Brian. VA3A today, VE3XBH.
VE3XBH, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Brian, good to hear you. And yeah, I was actually I don't have that frequency handy right now. It's in the radio I'm using, but if I can't really change it without kind of going off the air here. But I can't retrieve that frequency without going off the air. But I was listening, and I had my radio set up, so I was switching back and forth between VE3MIS and the tower. and going back and forth and comparing signal. Of course, the one that's down the street from me, VE3MIS is down the street from me. The other one's a long way away, 15 kilometers or whatever it is. But it was interesting. It was interesting to just quickly shift between the frequencies and compare them. And I only had 5 watts, so I couldn't make it all the way to the CN Tower. But it was kind of fun to hear the repeater. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Brian. Hope you had New Year too. A good New Year, good New Year's Eve, and good Christmas. And that brings me right to the bottom of the list. And let's see if there's anyone else out there. I'll make one more call for anyone who'd like to join us at the end of the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter Tuesday Night Net. If you're out there and you want to join us, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Okay, this is Net Controller returning VE3A today, and there may have been someone trying to get in on VE3MIS. I'm not sure. Let's give it one more try. If you were trying to get in on VE3MIS, come again, and we'll try to get your check in. Come now, please. Okay, so someone's definitely in there, and all I got out of it was the delta, though. There's quite a bit of noise. It's almost unreadable. I got the delta out of it, and your call sign, maybe you can step up your power or change your orientation or your position. Might be on an HT. I wonder if you're on an HT. Might have the same challenge I have if I'm calling downtown, not enough power. But give it another try. It's mostly unreadable, but I got a delta. Come again.
VA3AZA, VA3HES. Brian, that was Peter, VE3WYD. He's just trying to fix his antenna line. He swapped something out, but he's still trying to fix it. I guess he was just giving it a try. Back to you, Brian.
VA3HES, VA3A today, Net Controller today. Okay, thanks, Mark, for the information. Actually, Peter, it's Peter WYD. Okay, sorry, I thought it was Peter ELE when we were talking earlier about the antenna, disconnecting the antenna. Okay, that's okay. Well, he's giving it a try there, and what can you do? Sometimes I have a few little problems. That's right, he said he was antenna challenged a little bit this evening. Okay, well, that brings me to the bottom of the list, and I think that brings me to the end of the round, to the end of the second round. Maybe we'll close it up at this point. Let's see here. So thank you for joining us tonight. If you have any comments, thoughts, or suggestions, you can contact us via email at ve3mis@rac.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra at Romeo Alpha Charlie Charlie Alpha. This is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha. Brian, closing the net and returning the repeater to general use. It's going to be connected to Echolink for a little while, but I guess by about 5 to 10 it'll disconnect. Thank you all for your participation. As usual, it was a pleasure, and 7-3.